We'll just be starting in a minute. We're just waiting for one more member to join remotely. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, maybe you want to go ahead with the opening remarks and the adjournment requests? She's on now. We've got her.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment hearings for Rural Panel 3. We are a City of Ottawa quasi-judicial tribunal that holds public hearings to consider Planning Act applications, including minor variances to the zoning requirements and consents to sever land. Our hearings are now in person at Ben Franklin Place, 101 Centerpoint Drive. We also enable remote participation by video conferencing for our registered speakers. We are live streaming on YouTube and the video will be archived and available for future viewing by the public. My name is Martin Vervoort. I'll be chairing today's hearings and you can address me by my name or as chair. With me are my fellow panel members, Gary Duncan to my right in person, and participating remotely are members Jocelyn Chandler and Beth Henderson. The procedure for the hearings will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen from time to time are the applications we'll hear today. For the sake of efficiency, I may deal with agenda items in a different order. Panel members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support of or in opposition to each of the applications. Today, we'll hear any oral submissions relating to the applications. As part of the statutory notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property in question before the hearing. They also had to confirm in writing that they did so, or they'll need to swear or affirm an oath today that they fulfilled the sign posting requirements. Otherwise, we may have to adjourn or postpone the hearing. I believe we have all of the statutory declarations for the sign postings. Thank you. The panel may ask for a brief presentation of an application followed by questions for the applicant and city planning staff. We will then hear from members of the public who have registered to speak, and we may also have questions for them. Finally, the applicant, who has the burden of proof, will have an opportunity to make final comments and reply. Please address your comments to me as the chair, starting with your name and spelling if necessary, and your municipal address for the record. All presentations are limited to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at my discretion. At the end of the hearing, the panel either may make an oral decision or we may reserve our decision, which means it won't be delivered today. In either case, within 10 days, the Committee of Adjustment will send the official written decision and reasons for it to all parties, participants, and anyone else who has requested a copy. Does anyone have any questions about the procedure we will be following today? Good, thank you. All right, then, we have several applications to hear today, but first we'll deal with some preliminary and procedural matters. Do any panel members have any declarations of interest with respect to the applications we're hearing today or either of the other two panels? Ms. Chandler?
On panel 2, minor variance A 00203 at 81 Berland.
Okay, thank you. We have no minutes to confirm from previous hearings. So the first order of business will be to deal with adjournment requests. So the first item up for adjournment is item number 1 concerning the property at 1579 9th Line Road. And I believe the agent on that is Mr. Vincent Charbonneau or Carbonneau. Is Mr. Carbonneau online?
Yes, Mr. Chair, he's online.
Can everyone hear me?
Are you there, Mr. Carbonneau?
I am.
Okay, thank you. We have a bit of trouble hearing you. Maybe you can turn up your volume just a little bit.
Sorry about that.
I believe that planning is requesting an adjournment regarding some additional evidence that the mobile home on the property has been removed. And you're in the process of receiving your farm registration number. And there's some further clarification required for the use of the existing structures on the property. My understanding is you're agreeable to an adjournment, is that correct?
Yep. Yeah, and we had a few clarifications as well, but definitely we're in the process. The few of these conditions have already been met, so I'm assuming you guys will issue a new list of conditions following your review.
Well, normally we would adjourn the matter to a specific date to allow you time to deal with these matters, and then the matter would be heard further on down the road. I don't know if you, how long you think you may need to address some of these preliminary issues.
The only major issue we had was condition number 5. Was hoping to get some clarification on condition number 5.
Okay, but I think maybe we'll just hear from staff on this one if we could. Mr. Teef.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Just to clarify, planning is not requesting the adjournment. The adjournment was requested by the South Nation Conservation Authority regarding servicing of the property. But I'm happy to speak to any questions the applicant may have if we want to deal with that.
Okay. Because I thought there was, I thought staff also wanted evidence on the other matters, or?
Yes, that is true, but I believe they were addressed through the conditions.
Through the conditions, okay. So Mr. Charbonneau, I think the other issue is the septic office is requiring a site plan just to confirm the location of that septic system. And that would also give you time to discuss, I guess, condition number 5 with planning. I'm not sure how much time you would need for that.
This is a monthly meeting, correct?
Bi-monthly, so the available dates would be September 17th, October 1st, October 15th.
Let's take September 17th.
September. Think you can get that done by then?
Yes.
Members of the committee, are we agreeable to adjourning this matter to September 17th?
I'm okay with adjourning it, but if this is to satisfy the Ottawa Septic System Office with respect to the location of the septic system, that means that you will need to locate the septic system, diagram it, perhaps provide your septic system records, and have it reviewed by the Ottawa Septic System Office in time, in 2 weeks. That's pretty tight. Unless you've already done most of the work.
we have an engineer on board to draft for the conservation partners, the OSSO site plan. But agreed, we don't mind pushing to be the first week of October. That's fine as well.
But we could do October 1st if that gives you a little more time, Mr. Carbonell.
Yep, that's perfect. Thank
Okay, so let's do, we'll adjourn the matter then to October 1st. All in agreement? Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
The next matter up for adjournment is item number 25444 West River Drive. And the applicants are Peter and Sue Ellen Johnson. Good morning. I think if you just push the button, then your mic will be
Good
on.
morning.
Could you just state your name and address for the record, please?
We're Peter and Swellen Johnson, 5444 West River Drive, Ottawa.
Thank you. I'm not sure if you're aware, but planning is requesting an adjournment of the application because they haven't finished their review of the building permit and they think that a further minor variance may be required. So maybe we'll just hear from planning first.
Yeah, so thank you, Chair. So to clarify, we just don't know necessarily if you have all the minor variances that might be required. Having reviewed the materials you submitted us, we have no concerns with those. But I guess just for the committee's sake, if additional minor variances might be required after it's reviewed at zoning by the zoning plans examiner, then you may need to come back for another minor variance. And I don't know if the committee would necessarily want that.
Okay, that's understood. There's a couple of points, so I wonder if I can get clarification from planning on.
Certainly.
In the application for a request for adjournment, you indicated that the proposed addition does not reduce the setback of the existing structure to the river. So is that an issue or a problem, or is that a good thing?
Oh, sorry. So I should have been more clear than that, but it's not a problem. That's a good thing.
But it may require another variance, I guess, I think what planning is saying is that another variance may be required when they complete their zoning review of your plans. And if that were the case, if we were to go ahead with this today, then you'd have to reapply again for that additional variance. So generally speaking, probably the best option is to adjourn this matter sine die to a new date. And if an additional variance is requested, then you could add that to your application and then we can deal with everything all at once. So you don't have to come back and pay the fee twice as well. So.
Okay, that makes sense. How long would it take the zoning plans examiner to complete this? Just trying to get an estimate because we've got a thing called winter coming. And that is a problem when we start to do concrete and mortar work.
So unfortunately, I don't speak for building code services, but I imagine within the coming weeks, they would probably have that done. I've already spoken with them. They say it's on their list to be reviewed soon. So unfortunately, I can't give you a concrete date, but within the coming weeks is my estimate.
Okay, thank you. That's acceptable.
Yeah, I think the other, we can either adjourn it indefinitely or we can adjourn it to a fixed date. So then it can proceed if another variance isn't required. Those are the options, I think. Staff, have any comments?
Yeah, committee staff would recommend adjournment sine die. That way, if the additional variance is needed, they can add it to the application. If you adjourn to a specific date, there will be no opportunity to add the variance at that point, and that could further delay the application.
So I think that your best option, Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, are probably to adjourn it to sine die to a date to be fixed. And then you can determine hopefully in the next couple of weeks if you need any further variances. And if you don't, we can bring it back on fairly quickly for the hearing. Does
Okay,
make
that
sense?
makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. So if members of the committee are agreeable, then we'll adjourn this matter, sine die. So it's adjourned. Thank you. The next matter up for an adjournment is agenda item number 5 concerning the property at 5100 Loggers Way. And I believe the agent there is Charlotte Leach.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Charlotte Leach and I'm the agent for the owners, Daniel and Francine Barrett at 5100 Loggers Way.
And could we just have your address, please?
My home address is 138 Ottawa Street, Arnprior, Ontario.
Okay, thank you. And I'm not sure if you've been able to read the comments from the planning department yet or not.
I think I understand them. We had correspondence back and forth, and I just want to say that on Friday afternoon, we got right onto it. We've requested through Dennis Scott of Patterson Group to visit the site and create a new drainage plan. And so we're hoping that's done pretty quick.
Okay, so it sounds like we should probably adjourn this until that matter is completed. Do you have a specific date in mind? We have September 17th, October 1st, October 15th. I'm not sure how long.
I think October 1st, both the owners and I will be out of the country on the 17th, but it is tied to a real estate transaction that closes October 24th.
Okay,
So we're really hoping October 1st, we're done.
so do you expect to have the revised plan completed within the next week or two? So then planning will have, or
Yeah.
engineering will have time to review it?
I am, and in my absence, another colleague is onto it and has Mr. Teefts, I can't remember your first name, has his email, so she's gonna send it on as soon as possible.
Planning, does October 1st seem like a reasonable date?
Yep, staff are okay with that.
Okay. Members of the committee, are we agreeable to adjourning to October 1st? Okay, so the application's adjourned until October 1st. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And lastly, I believe agenda item number 7 is up for an adjournment. And this concerns the property at 1126 Cope Drive. And I believe the agent on file is Christopher Straka. Is Mr. Straka online today?
Yes, he is, Mr. Chair.
Good morning, Mr. Straka.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. My name is Christopher Straka. I am the new planning and development manager with Vailcraft Homes at 1455 Newville Drive. We look forward to addressing this agenda item today, if possible. The reason for it being presented as a possible adjournment was due to a late submission of a site plan. However, the information in that site plan, I believe the committee had received previously. For the most part, the new submission only includes 2 dimension lines as new information. So I, again, hope we address that when we come up on the agenda.
I don't know if planning wants to respond to that. My understanding is the revised plan was submitted late yesterday. And I'm not sure that anybody's had a chance to review it yet, but I'll let planning speak.
Yeah, so sorry. So just for clarification, a revised site plan was submitted this morning to planning staff, which was sent to the committee. So I guess a bit of background, just what's kind of occurred in the last month or so. So it was adjourned on August 6th and August 20th for the discussions with right-of-way staff. From what I understand, there were discussions with right-of-way staff on what right-of-way staff was looking for. And then in this case, when we were first looking at the application, it was that 50% of the frontage for the private approach. However, in further conversations with right-of-way staff, they also realized they needed a 6-meter setback from the intersection to kind of prevent that, protect the corner site triangle. Another revised site plan was submitted on August 27th, and that was with the initial planning staff report. So right-of-way staff updated their comments. Planning staff still had concerns because they had concerns that the 6-meter setback wasn't being maintained. Following that, so planning staff were having further discussions with the applicant, and then this morning a new site plan was submitted showing that 6-meter setback, which is very similar to what right-of-way staff had presented to the applicant. So staff can see that it meets what right-of-way staff are looking for. However, just due to the tight turnaround time and also trying to get comments to right-of-way staff, I don't have written confirmation from right-of-way staff that they're satisfied with the new revision. However, we can see it appears to meet what right-of-way staff have. That's all I really have at this point. I can take any further questions, but just because it was submitted this morning, staff can't send in a new staff report, so I would leave it at the committee and the applicant's discretion on whether adjournment is necessary.
Any comments from members of the committee? It seems to me that since the plan came in this morning, in fairness to right-of-way staff, they will need an opportunity to review it. I believe Ms. Henderson has a comment to make.
Good morning. Yes, Chair, I would prefer to have an opportunity to review the material as well as have staff review the material as opposed to it being brought to committee without a review.
Okay. I think I sort of feel the same way. I think it would be fair to staff and the committee and to the right-of-way department to review the latest plan and put this matter over for 2 weeks to the September 17th meeting. Do you have comments on that, Mr. Straka?
I mean, as previously expressed, it would be our preference to try and address it today, Mr. Chair. I think that the new information provided really is quite minor, but I leave it to the members' discretion if they prefer to wait 2 weeks to see that we are in fact doing our best to comply with all information or requests made by right away, then so be it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it sounds like we can probably wrap this up, and it should be fairly straightforward in 2 weeks from now. So if the members of the committee agree, then we'll adjourn this matter to September 17th. All those in favor? So we'll see you back hopefully for the last time on September 17th, Mr. Straka. Thank you.
Thank you.
And the next agenda item, we have a couple of unopposed applications. The first one is agenda item number 3 concerning the property at 1780 Burnt Lands Road. And the agent there is Matt Cooley. Is Mr. Cooley online?
I'm here in person, but my wife's online.
Okay, if you just want to come forward.
Yeah.
My understanding is there aren't any objections or further comments with respect to the application. And we can approve it on a fast track basis. Do you have anything else you want to add?
I do not know.
Okay. So I would ask the committee for approval of the application as filed. All those in favor? So your application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks.
And the next item is agenda item number 6 concerning the property at 1712 Devine Road. And the agents are Laura Somerville and Ryan Shirley.
I'm here.
Good morning. Could you just state your name and address, please?
Ryan Shirley, 1712 Devine Road.
Okay, and this is just an application for construction of a detached garage. Again, I don't think there are any comments or concerns with the application. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, nothing.
Okay. So then I would ask the members of the committee to approve the application as filed. All those in favor? So your application is approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next application to deal with on a regular basis is application number 4, which is concerning the property at 6051 Herberts Corners Road.
Mr. Chairman, Planning Committee.
Morning.
I'm Mike Flaw. Our address is 6051 Herberts Corners Road.
Okay.
That's Greeley, Ontario.
And who's with you?
This is my wife, Susan.
Okay, thank you. Now, my understanding is that this application is for a minor variance for the construction of a coach house. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay, and the variances seem quite large actually for the size of the coach house. So maybe you can just explain the application.
Absolutely, and I welcome the opportunity. A little bit of background. We bought a property with our daughter and son-in-law with the dream and hope to make it a generational home property. So by that I mean their kids and our grandkids would take this property over after we're gone. It's 2.5 acres. It's located off of Manotick Station Road on Herberts Corners Road between Greeley and Manotick. Zoned rural residential. And the existing home is a nice, very well built 70s bungalow, approximately 2,800 square feet. The property has a, hydro line running through it with a required space to stay away from that's the word I'm looking for.
Right away.
Right away, yes, thank you. See, that's why I bring her. She uses the brain half the time, I use it half the time. So we have the house set well back from the main house. We have punched a new well, so part of the coach house requirements were to share either the well or the septic. So we put a new well in, a modern well. The existing well was only a 3-inch bore from the late 60s, so that was the logical way to go. Our dream is to have this house built. Our dream, it's our goal is to have this house built as a passive house. So we're going to build a house within a thermal shell and ultimately be at the end of the build net zero ready. And the net zero achievement certification, we have already engaged with a company called HomeSol, and HomeSol advises on the requirements of a passive home's energy needs to provide a net zero certification. So when we chose our house design, we chose it for a lot of aesthetic reasons. We chose it because it's going to be our last home and we would like to be comfortable and proud of it. What we also have is the hope that with a sufficient amount of solar power generation, we may be able to supplement the existing bungalow as well from our power generation capabilities. So what we're trying to build here is something that meets a lot of, I believe, the future of planning, which is infill, which is net zero passivity of your home that reduces the burden on the infrastructure. The fact that we're rural residential means also, in the case of our situation with our neighbors, everyone is well separated. We aren't overlooking or in a direct line of sight with any of our neighbors because of the forest and the land around us. I believe that, yes, we are asking for a large non-minor, I will say, and I don't agree that that's a major variance, but we are asking for a larger footprint than a coach house bylaw number allows. And I'm not here to try and change the bylaw or argue the bylaw's validity, but the application of the bylaw makes a whole lot of sense in an established neighborhood within the urban environment of the city. I would like to have the bylaw applied fairly to someone who is on a residential property without the impingements of the city infrastructure or neighboring properties being close to us. And again, the only problem I have with it being called a major variance is that if I'm on a 60 by 60 lot in town, it totally makes sense. On 2.5 acres, 140 by 300, I think we have plenty of space to accommodate a larger footprint. And the third leg of my milking stool, if you will, is that to be net zero ready, we can get away with a smaller footprint roof, but the addition of the garage roof area will allow us the security of a larger collection system to be able to hopefully supplement the primary dwelling. And I believe that's a logical argument for making a larger footprint. We're not building anything that's going to be verboed or out there as a rental property. We're going to retire to it. Hopefully when our grandchildren grow up, they'll take over the main house and our daughter and son-in-law will retire to it. So it's kind of, that's our philosophy with providing this home. And at different stages in your life, you need larger or smaller accommodations. We sold a home with 7 bedrooms because we had 5 kids, and half the time we had 10 kids staying at our,
At a time.
5 kids at a time, yeah. And we had a lot of family activities that required that space. We downsized that to 3 bedrooms. And now we're going to further downsize that to 2 bedrooms. But we believe that at this stage in our life, which is early retirement, we still want to be able to entertain a guest or 2 overnight from out of town and so on. So our compactness is about as far as we can go for this stage in our life. It is a bungalow, so as we age and hopefully be able to maintain this home into the next 20 years, it's going to be able to be handled well by an elderly couple. I am more than happy to answer any other questions planning might have, but that is the tail of our request.
Okay, thank you. Maybe we'll just hear from planning next.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So I mean, as I had written in my report, I don't think staff generally agree that this is necessarily considered minor. Just due to the relief requested, it's larger than both the 40% of your existing house and the 95 square meter maximum that we generally allow for. I know based on the design of the house itself, and the way that the bylaw is written, there could maybe be sort of a weird discrepancy in that you could have an accessory building on your property and a coach house, and they would both not necessarily meet, or they wouldn't necessarily require variances to the bylaw, but because you have such a large building, garage, covered porch, it's basically a single family home behind another single family home, where generally the bylaw is looking at sort of a 2-bedroom apartment as an accessory to the existing house. So I think staff generally leave it up to the discretion of the committee as to whether we would allow this.
Questions from committee members? No questions from committee members? Okay. I just had a question for the applicant. So how do you feel that this meets the 4 tests in the Planning Act with respect to the what's being proposed? Because I think in fairness, it sounds more like a house than a coach house, to be honest, like with a basement and a double car garage and given the area of it, so.
Agreed, that's a fair assessment. And again, I believe the spirit of the bylaw is to provide the opportunity to intensify density within the city rather than spreading the city out. Some of the 4 elements of a coach house, I would like to be able to say are not really being fulfilled because we aren't really in that dense of a situation. So infill we're providing in the spirit of it. The ability to be able to provide ourselves with a passive home build and a So first of all, the passive home build is a larger footprint to begin with, because you have to build a house within a house or a house within a shell. But that can be done on any scale, obviously. The ability for us to be able to, as we age, put our hopefully electric vehicle into a garage and go straight from there into the house in the middle of an Ottawa winter in a rural Ottawa Valley. We would definitely see that as an advantage as we grow into our late 70s and hopefully into our 80s and still able to be independent. And all these things combine to create the design that we've come up with as a coach house or home, if you will. I'm not asking for a change to the bylaw, but if there's another path to achieving this, we'd be more than happy to look into it. At this point, I don't think we can sever, because I'm not sure, I'd have to look at it again, but I don't think our frontage allows us onto the municipal road, Herberts Corners Road, enough severance access to the road to make it a legal severance. So we're kind of handcuffed in terms of what we bought as a property, not realizing that this process was quite as, I don't want to say restrictive, but it would be applied in the way that it is to our situation. The basement is there because I think in Canada you need basements. I don't like to build slab on concrete. A lot of people do, but you know, a slab is always the earth's moving. I'll say so. We have a lot of extremes in temperature. This area, we have had the hydrogeologic survey done. We feel we're very stable if we go down far enough. But I still, as a engineer myself, prefer to have basement foundation and well-trained abilities. The grading plan is in place. We have had no problem with Rideau Valley Conservation Authority with regards to how we're flowing the water away. We're not close to any of the city municipality structures to affect any kind of storm drains or anything, as well as our neighbors. And if the committee can advise on another path other than coach house designation, we're more than happy to pursue that.
Well, the committee can't provide any legal advice to you. We can only hear the applications that are presented to us, but
Fair enough. I understand that. Yeah.
okay. Any other comments from members of the committee? So I think, do you want to resume?
Member Henderson has her hand up.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Go ahead, Member Henderson.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. For the applicants, have you had the opportunity to look at what you're proposing to us today, and compare it to what would be permitted? I'm just wondering if your architect has provided you, because I have to say it does look like two homes being built on one parcel. So I'm just wondering, you know, you have a 2-car garage, you want a basement, etc. Has the architect ever provided you with what would not require a minor variance?
We haven't pursued it with the architect yet. What we do have is consultation with a solar energy provider designer, and the roof space for the minimum size of a solar panel array to provide this as a net zero home is what we based the 2-car garage on. Now, the hope is that with improving technologies, solar power generation and storage, that we will be able to also supplement the primary home with this system. So it's a kind of a twofold benefit. We're going to be able to provide our own independent power to 2 homes in the area. And at the same time, we get the benefit of a 2-car garage. Now, having said that, yes, we could review it to make the garage roof smaller, which would bring the footprint down to less than 60% of the 68%, excuse me, of the primary dwelling. But it won't get it down to 40 and still be able to maintain the power generation square area we require. I prefer not to put our solar panels on the ground, the better facing way in our situation because of the forests around us is to be able to have it on the roof of the building.
Okay, thank you.
I hope that.
I was asking, I was thinking about asking you, why you're not having them, on the ground as opposed to being, attached to the
Sorry.
building.
Our property has a lot of mature oaks and maples on it. And if we were to mount on the ground, where we're trying to build the house, we'd have to clear an awful lot of forest out to have a ground-based solar panel array. And I think the roof panel technology is much more efficient as well.
And have you spoken with the architect to see if a potential severance is available to you for the, I'm gonna call it a second home as opposed to a coach house? You're terming it as a coach house, but
Yeah, we went the coach house path first because we believed that that was the applicable designation for this home. A severance right now, as I explained earlier on, may require that we it will require that we have a certain frontage split with main property. I'm not sure that we can have enough feet of frontage on a municipal road address with the severance. We haven't looked into, to answer your question, I haven't got the answer to that yet.
so because not to assist you or make a recommendation, but you know, sometimes a minor variance for lot frontage required for a severed piece of land has less effect than building what you're determining as a coach house, which to me looks more like a second home, but that's my opinion. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Okay, no, I appreciate your comment. Thank you.
I believe Ms. Chandler has her hand up.
Just briefly to planning. Is the garage. Could the garage as a two-car garage be built proximate to the house, which would put it as an auxiliary building with the coach house? Is that a potential? I'm just thinking, Mr. Teach, you made a reference earlier about auxiliary buildings. Is that the road you were thinking about? That's an option that could be pursued?
Yeah, so that was what I was leaning towards, essentially.
So make the garage detached.
Yes.
Then the variance goes down significantly in the house square area.
Most likely, yes.
I don't understand.
Well, no, I mean, it's if that's what it would take, how far does the garage have to be separated from the house? You know, if one of us is wheelchair, right? I mean, I don't want to.
Yeah, like I was just gonna say, like we can't really turn this hearing into an advice section.
Okay,
like
right. Yeah,
there's
right.
obviously you could consult with planning on those things, depending on what the committee's decision is on this. Ms. Chandler, do you have a comment? Sorry.
I'm just going to put a recommendation out there that you can, as applicants, adjourn this hearing before a decision is made and go back and consult with planning on alternatives. That option is available to you at this point. It is not available to you after a decision is made.
So we want to go away and redo the drawings with a separate garage. Yes, please.
So you prefer to adjourn the application?
I think my wife has a comment she would like to throw out there.
Sir.
No, I'm just gonna stick my foot in my mouth. I just don't understand why. I don't understand the difference of having two separate buildings when it's more convenient to have it as one separate building or one building when you're talking about seniors and getting older. You put it together, it's still the same footprint, whether it's 30 meters over there. It's not gonna be convenient. And it's it's disrupting the environment twice then. So then if we have to move the garage, then we're gonna have to pull out more trees because we're gonna have to make room for another separate building. Whereas there's much less impact on the existing forest if we can attach it to the garage or attach it to the main dwelling.
The committee can only consider the existing bylaw. We can't, we don't create bylaws, or policy discussions are for your council or your counselor or planning sometimes. Ms. Chandler, you had a comment?
I think that I also just want to point out that what we have to work with is 4 tests, which are dictated by the Planning Act. We don't have flexibility around that. You have to meet all 4 in order for us to approve an application. So it's sometimes a good idea to take an extra 2 weeks to go back and find out a little bit more about what we are trying to deal with, making a decision as the committee and what your options are.
That's fair. That's fair.
So we could adjourn this matter indefinitely, or we could adjourn it to a set date, which would give you some time to have some further discussions.
Let's do a set date. As the previous applicant mentioned, we do have a thing called winter on the way. We would have liked to have done this last year, so we've already almost a year and a half delayed our plans. So it's the next available date, and I will endeavor to have a better prepared answer at that time.
I'm not sure that September 17th would be realistic, though, if you have discussions and you have to revise your plans and the application has to be amended.
Okay,
I think probably October 1st would be more realistic.
very good.
So.
Yeah, it depends too on what the amendments are.
Correct.
If there's additional variances or we're increasing the extent of the variance, it may require recirculation at that point.
But if we're reducing the variance, then it would
Yes.
be easier to deal
Exactly.
with as an amendment on the floor.
There's an option to increase the variance?
No, I said if you're reducing it, if
Yes,
you're
I know.
increasing it, we'd have to recirculate the
Okay.
application. So I think if everybody's in agreement, then we'll adjourn the matter till October the 1st, and then hopefully that'll give everybody time to have some further discussions.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And the last agenda item is agenda item number 8 concerning the property at 612 Smith Road. And I believe the application, the agent on this application is Martin Brazo.
Mr. Chair, Martin Brazo is not online, but we do have someone named Catherine. I'll promote her now.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hi, this is actually Martin from 590 Smith Road. For some reason, it logged into my wife's account.
Okay, no problem at all, Mr. Brazo. So my understanding is this matter had been previously adjourned, but that all of the items that were outstanding, and I guess in particular was the MDS calculation, which appears to be fine now. So I think we can proceed with the application. I didn't know, I don't think there's any concerns with the applications other than whether or not you had any comments with respect to the proposed conditions.
No, I have no comments or objections or concerns with the conditions.
Okay. Anything that planning would like to add to this?
Nope, nothing further. Appreciate the time that's gone through. It was a pleasure working with the applicant, but happy to receive that updated site plan and then be able to give no concerns on this report. So looking forward to this one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions from members of the committee? No? In that case, I would propose that the applications be approved, subject to the conditions proposed by planning. All those in favor? So your applications are approved. Thank you very much, Mr. Brazeau.
Perfect, thanks.
Have a good day.
You too.
And I think that concludes all of the business of the committee today. So we'll see everybody at our next meeting on September 17th. Thank you very much.